I must have played dozens of racing games through the years, many of which you've seen me upload onto this channel, and I had a lot of fun with those, but it's completely different as to the subject of today's video, which is rally. Now, if you've seen any of the videos I've done before, most of the games that I play when it comes to racing are pretty traditional in the way that they're set up, where you have a track, you have a bunch of cars, it's 3 laps and you're done, and sometimes I even play kart games where you have some weapons that are thrown into the mix. Those are fun. Those are happy. Everyone has a good time when they're done. This is not the case. This, my friends, is rally. There are no winners. There's only degrees of losing. Rally is probably the toughest type of game I play. This is probably the toughest game I've played, period. Mostly in the way that the game itself is structured, in the way that the car controls, and in the way that this game has given me a very, very healthy fear of trees, rocks, and haystacks. Let me explain. I've never played a rally game before. So, coming into this was something that intrigued me. First, I have to explain what rally is, sort of. So, I've already covered the fact that a traditional racing game has you going along a track in a set number of laps where you need to beat your opponents, and the clock is optional. That's more for showing the distance between you and your opponents on the same track. Rally is different. Rally is point-to-point racing, which means that, generally speaking, there are no laps. It's just go from one location to the other. And these locations are typically on closed-off public roads all over the world. There is a very healthy competition in Europe, and I don't know if there is much in the United States, although I don't know. To the point where this is the game World Rally Championship 7, which is published by Maximum Games and is made in conjunction with the WRC itself, so the actual board of the rally organization that this game is modeled after. Now, as you can see in the footage here, a lot of this happens off-road because, like I said, this typically takes place along back roads, but going on tarmac is not unheard of. And that's something that the game does as well. So, if you're hearing voices throughout this video and you've never seen a rally video before, or a rally game, or anything rally related, there are actually 2 people in the car right now. There is a driver, which I'm playing as in this video, and the one who's really helping control the vehicle, your co-driver. Now, your co-driver is important because he serves as your navigator. He's actually in there reading off directions for you to follow. These directions are called pace notes, and they are very detail intensive and written in shorthand. If you were to look at pace notes, you wouldn't necessarily know what they were about, because they're sort of a language unto their own, where the co-driver tells you whether the turn coming up is a 5 or a flat 5 turn right that opens into a 6, or a left 4 that closes into a 3. All these mean something, and that's one of the reasons why rally is so difficult, because you have to concentrate on the road, and you have to concentrate on what your co-driver is doing. This means that this game is actually very, very difficult because you have to split your attention, number 1, and 2, you have to make sure that no other outside influence gets to you. I swear to God, the slightest thing in this game will set you off course. If you scratch your head, like you just take your controller off, like to scratch an itch like there, you go off the road. If you avert your eyes for a second, you go off the road. You sneeze, you go off the road. If a butterfly flaps its wing on the South Pole of Mars, you go off the road. This game has given me a healthy fear of trees, rocks, and haystacks, because these are all so very common things that you're going to find over here. And I'm sliding around and all that, and that's not because I'm actually drifting or doing stuff that the kids think are hot nowadays and all that by holding the handbrake and just praying to God that you go wherever you want to go. A lot of this is based on like just the inertia of the turn. A lot of the time I'm just holding the regular brake, or I'm just easing off the gas, and occasionally I'm tapping B to do the emergency brake to go around tight corners. Everything like this car has high acceleration, low traction because it has to. And because of that, it's probably the steepest learning curve of any video game out there that has to deal with driving. You will crash. You will go off course. You will curse yourself as you go over those bumps, and you'll lose a little bit of speed. And God help you if you actually go off-road or strike a pedestrian and stuff like that and get time penalties. 9 seconds doesn't seem like a lot, but in the world of rally, you might as well just turn off the game and walk away. It's over at that point. So I have to approach this game differently, or I've learned to approach it differently. I've learned so much about this. Like, I'm sitting there listening to the pace notes being read to me, and after like 4 or 5 hours of playing the game, I think to myself, I understood that. Yes, he said something to me, and I took meaning from it. And the more I play it, the more I realize that I don't even need to really look at the top. I can just hear what the guy is talking about, and I can adjust accordingly. I don't know what's coming up. My co-driver does, and that's the point. You have to work together. Like, I wonder if in the multiplayer mode of this game, whether or not you will have like a co-driver that reads off directions. I haven't tried the multiplayer. It's just the regular driving. So I have to say that the game has beautiful locales and all of that. The enhancements, the 4K enhancements, really help to bring the environments out and really help bring the feeling of being in this place. This is super immersive, to be perfectly honest with you. It's actually a very, very immersive game. Like, since your mind is hell-bent on staying on this narrow Portuguese road right here. You want us to stare at the giant windmills over there, and they look pretty, but it means you're going off the road. It means you're getting a 9-second time penalty. I did this clean. I was proud of that one. Actually, I have another video coming up, which is a 23-kilometer rally on a Poland course. 23 kilometers, that's a long time. That's a long time to be on the road. You will screw up. It's not like it is possible to do it clean and all that, but you will never hit that turn the way you want to. You'll never hit that jump. Or maybe you'll skid for a bit longer if you want to. Rally is a sport of pain and improvement. As you understand your car a bit better, as you move from that Ford to the Citroen, or what's that other manufacturer car, Skova, something like that. Well, in any case, I'll be playing this game long enough to get the feel of all these cars and the feel of the damage, because there are damage elements. And whether or not like you're doing this race, and you think to myself, am I gonna blow out this tire before I finish this round? Because on the longer races, I'm legitimately thinking to myself whether that's going to be the case as you go over gravel, tarmac, snow, what have you, day, night, in the rain. It's one of the most challenging conditions out there. The only thing I do not like about this is locked at 30 frames a second. You, as I'm figuring out as time goes on, you do not have 30 frames a second for racing games. It just doesn't work. It's like Forza Horizon, which is a series that I love myself. I like the idea that you can turn on a 1080p 60 frames a second mode, because as it seems to me here, just going in with 30 frames is just not a very enjoyable experience, especially when you need to concentrate on the little nitty-gritty details here, as you can feel your tires slowly wear away, your suspension taking the bump, or as you go over like a tall jump and all, you're wondering whether or not you should touch the brakes just before you leave or as you land. Those little details are something that are better experienced in 60 frames a second because, number one, they feel more visceral, and number two, it just feels that you have more control over it. It's like every where you have 2 frames for detail here. It just feels weird. It's not wrong. It just feels weird. I mean, I suppose depending on who you talk to, it could be considered wrong and old, but in all, it doesn't take away too terribly much from the experience, because I'm still doing this, like I'm still making these turns here, I'm still trying to keep the car on the road, and it feels so good when you make that turn that's perfect. Although it's certain that the game is supposed to be played with a force feedback controller that's a wheel and pedals. I'm playing this game with one thumb on the thumbstick. With one thumb. Can you imagine the level of control I would probably have over this car if I actually had a force feedback controller and all that? It just feels like I'm not getting the full experience. That I basically opened Pandora's box when it comes to racing games, because this is punishing. It's hard. I hate to use the term, it's the Dark Souls of, but it really is. And that you have a limited number of restarts, and at that point, you will take that course. You will take that time, and you will like it as you go on to the next one in your season. But I love this game. I'm still playing this game, and I'm going to be playing it for a little while. But this is just my introduction to Rally. This is Rally. And I'm loving and hating every single second of it. Stay tuned for it. I'm going to have more videos of this coming up soon, and no shortage of it anytime. Take it easy.